What? What are you talking about? No, don't tell the stories
What?
again. That's
I'm
not even
going.
cool.
I'm not gonna be able to tell them the same way.
Just tell him again.
Don't tell them
Alright.
again. That's not even cool.
Oh, now I don't know what to do. I got two conflicting voices.
Oh, you know what? Here, you should tell the story.
Things like this. Just be like, roar, I'm a dinosaur. And then, like, when
Alright,
you're
I'm trying
talking,
to
you can
think
be
of,
like, oh, do I really...
Sound black to you?
Oh, it flipped so perfectly. I got a story of I work at a grocery store, and my buddy who
God.
works there too. So we got to stock everything, right? And I work in the produce department. And you know, I don't know if you've ever seen old people in grocery stores, but they move so fast that they're not moving. And my buddy was behind this old lady, and she wasn't moving at all. And he needed to go around her to put out the things that he needed to put out, right? And so that's what he did. He moved his cart to the side and went around her, and then stopped 4 feet in front of her and started putting stuff out. And another lady who saw this came up and was like, "Excuse me, sir? That was incredibly rude." He was like, "What?" He was like, "You going in front of that old lady like that? That was incredibly rude, and you should have let her go first." He's like, "Really? Really?"
Hey,
And so
bro,
she went.
bring
She
your,
went and
bring
complained to
your
the owner of the store about how rude the employees were. Another thing that happened to that same guy was he was pulling into work, and it was like a pull-through spot, and another guy, an old guy in a truck, pulled into the same spot as he did in the opposite direction, right? Which is fine, because then they both take their spots. And as they were parking, the old guy and my buddy linked eyes, right? So like they saw each other, and the old guy smiled at my buddy and stuck both his arms out in front of him and waved him backwards. And my buddy was like, "The fuck? Who are you, guy? I'm not moving so that you can have a pull-through spot, right?" So my buddy parked his car and got out like any rational person would do, and the old guy rolled down his window and called him a fucking asshole. And then 10 minutes later went in and complained to one of our grocery managers saying that, "Oh, one of your employees wouldn't move for me and my truck doesn't have reverse so I can't get out backwards." And
Well, that's your fault for having an old booty truck.
yeah, and the manager was like, "Did you tell him that your truck doesn't have reverse?" "Well, no." "Okay, well, what did you say to him?" "Well, I called him a fucking asshole." "So how is he supposed to know that you couldn't get out?" "Well, I suppose that's a good point." So he called my buddy, right, and was like, "Darren, can you move your car?" And he was like, "Yeah, alright, sure, whatever." And so he went out and, you know, slowly fucking waddled his way over to his car and got in and turned the radio off and checked the AC and adjusted his mirrors and backed out at 0.3 kilometers an hour. So this guy could move, right? It's like a 10-minute process.
Man. Oh.
A 10-minute process.
Did I tell you the story about that stank kid who bent over me and when I was doing my exam?
You
No.
didn't tell me.
Okay, so we were taking an exam, Bronc except. We were taking an exam, and our exams, we do them on the computer. And everybody was having problems with their computer. And this kid's looking around because he's not having problems, and he points to my screen and he's like, "Hey, you need to fix that." I said, "Yeah, I know, I'm waiting for the teacher to come over." And he said, "But I know how to fix it." And I said, "I know how to fix it too, but if you screw up my test or if I screw up my test, I don't want that on either of our heads." And he's like, "No, I'm really good with computers. I know how to fix this." And I said to him, I said, "Kid, I'm really good with computers too. Shut up." Okay. And this kid's like, "No, but I know what to do." And I said, "I know what to do too. Shut up." And this kid He just keeps telling me he knows what to do. He knows what to. I know what to do. I know what to do. This is what you have to do. I said, I know that's what you have to do. He said, then why don't you do it? And I said, because if my test gets messed up, I don't want that on my head. And he said, okay. So this kid comes over and bends over me. Like, this kid hasn't taken a shower in a month or two. This kid stinks.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, kid. You either need to get your booty out of my face or take a shower. Because you smell like you just got out of a pig pen. And this kid's like, wow, rude. And I said, you know what? Well, it's, first of all, not very comfortable when I have another dude bending over me. And second of all, when he smells like a cow that just took a crap. That doesn't make it any better. Okay, so this kid, he gets up and he goes and tells on me. Alright, I'm fine with that. And I told the teacher, I said, this kid stinks. He bent over me after I told him to get off of me. Blah, 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 blah. 10 minutes later, this kid goes and does it the same way. To the, probably one of the hottest chicks in the classroom, right?
No.
And I'm like, dude, this kid's got some balls knowing he smells like this. Okay, oh god, this kid. Alright, I told him, I said, what makes you think that if I said you stink, that this girl isn't gonna say the same thing? This girl looks him in the face, pulls out a pencil, and stabs him in the leg with it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't expect her to go that hard. Right? She pulls this pencil out of his leg, and the entire tip of it is covered in blood. This kid's on the ground crying. And I'm like, you're an idiot. I told you to get away. And I told you she was going to react pretty bad. Bronk, you need to... Oh, my God. You just made the random lady douche. Alright, whatever. Anyways, let's go. But...
I know I told you this story already, but I didn't tell him. It's quite funny. I was just...
my story.
I was in...
I didn't finish my
It's not my story, but if you want to have a laugh, this is probably the funniest thing that I've ever read.
I didn't finish my story.
Oh, you didn't?
You guys
No.
do your thing, and then I've got a thing that I'm going to read to you guys, and it's, I swear to God, it's probably the funniest thing I've ever read in my life. So,
Alright, so the teacher comes over after this chick pulls the pencil out of this kid's leg and like, what did you do? She was like, I stabbed his ass. Okay, and the teacher looks at her like, why? And she goes, have you smelled him?
nice.
She didn't even say anything about like him bending over her or anything. She was like, did you smell him? And I was like, that's the only reason you stabbed him in the leg? She's like, no, the kid's ugly too. I was like, nothing about him bending over you? She says, I'm okay with guys bending over me. I was like, look at this kid. He weighs like 400.5 pounds. Kid smells like he hasn't showered in 5 years. Dude is ugly as bull. This kid, his shirt was so tight, you could actually see the bumps in his skin from the chub.
Nice.
Like, it was tight. You know how girls wear those, the skinny jeans? You know how tight they are on their legs?
Yep.
That was this kid's shirt. And I was like, oh god, you need to tuck that in, brother. It's not gonna get you any girls. He's like, but I look muscular with this shirt on. Yeah, you keep thinking that, bro. Just go for it. Alright, your turn.
Alright, so... I know I already told you this story, but...
Oh my god, that's crazy! Oh god! Alright, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I was in class the other day, and... Alright, I'm serious, dude, stop!
That's insane! Woo!
I hate you all.
Alright, let's hear it again. Alright. I promise I won't laugh this time.
I was in class the other day. I was in class the other day, and I was... in English class. Yeah, and one of this girl in my class was. Are you talking over me?
Is it the sneezing one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah, but we were in English class, right? And this girl in my class, she sneezed twice, and
Oh my
my
god,
teacher
that is
was
hilarious.
my teacher was like, "Are you gonna sneeze again?" She's like, "No, I'm good." And my teacher's like, "All right, cause I know I'm a 3 sneezer myself," and I'm just like, and I'm just like, Illuminati confirmed.
Alright, let's hear the retarded joke now from the retard number 4.
This thing? Alright. So, basically, it's 2 neighbors. This is the start of the story. This is going to take a long ass time. So I'm like, hey, I'm no way. I'm in a safe spot. But I swear to God, you'll laugh so hard. So the setup is that there's this guy, and he just moved in to the house, and the guy across the street from him has got a really fucking bright ass garage light.
Alright.
So he goes across the road, and he takes out the guy's garage light because he can't sleep. And he puts it in his mailbox,
Uh-huh.
and leaves a note saying that he put it in his mailbox. So this is the note. Dear neighbor, due to your new terawatt floodlight shining through our bedroom window like a small but intense sun, I have removed the lamp and placed it in your letterbox. Regards, David. And then includes his email. And his neighbor sends an email to him and says, I received your note, but you can't go onto other people's property and take things. That's trespassing. Massanutten is a wooded area, and I installed that light for security. It's a safety issue. I can't help it if some of the light goes across the road. Close your curtains if it bothers you. And so he responded, Thank you for your email. While I accept that curtains are usually the key to community accord, in this instance, I think they would need to be constructed of 8-inch thick lead sheeting. Last night, with my curtains closed and my bedside light off, I read a book, wearing sunglasses, under a blanket. Though unconvinced that blinding local fauna is the best solution, I do understand the heightened need for security living in a wooded area such as the gated community of the Massanutten demands. Having lived my entire life in Australia, I am unfamiliar with much of the local wildlife, but I did see my first raccoon last week. I stepped outside to have a cigarette, and the raccoon, sitting less than 5 feet away beside an upended bin, eating the remains of a Domino's artisan Tuscan salami pizza, hissed at me. Surprised, I threw myself backwards, rolled several times towards the door, and sprang to my feet, holding the welcome mat above my head to appear taller. Sometime during the roll spring mat maneuver, probably during the roll part, as it was over gravel and I was wearing shorts and a thin t-shirt so I had to take it slow, the raccoon left, which probably isn't as exciting a story as it should be, but this isn't Borneo, and I'm not Jack London. I did see a snake the other day, though. I picked up a stick to poke it, which also turned out to be a snake.
Chris, help me get the rest of that, Chris.
Shut up, he's in the middle of the story.
I did see a snake the other day, though. I picked up the stick to poke it, which also turned out to be a snake. Jumping back in panic, I threw it away from me, but our dog thought I was playing fetch, and I had to run and jump over a creek to get away.
God!
As such, this weekend, I intend to set up a canister of poisonous gas in my yard with an industrial fan behind it. I can't help it if some of the gas goes across the road. Regards, David. And his neighbor responded, Is that meant to be a threat? Put something up in your window if you don't like the light. We lived here 5 years before you even moved into the neighborhood and got along perfectly with Ryan, who lived at your property before you. We went to his barbecues and I loaned him our mower. We get along with all our neighbors. I don't know what you people do in your country, but in this country we don't go onto other people's property and touch their stuff. He responded, In my country, terawatt globes are reserved for police helicopter chases and warning sailors of hazardous shoals. This is despite the fact that practically every creature that can kill you in under 3 minutes. Our primary spoken language is screaming. I'm not surprised you get along well with all the other neighbors. If you put 50 children with Down syndrome in a room, there's going to be a lot of hugging. And no, it was not a threat. It was an exaggerated response to an uncompromising stance. I said, I'm not surprised you get along well with all the other neighbors. If you put 50 children with Down syndrome in a room, there's going to be a lot of hugging.
Oh my god.
And no, it was not a threat. It was an exaggerated response to an uncompromising stance. I was taught never to make a threat unless you are prepared to carry it out, and I am not a fan of carrying anything. Even watching other people carry things makes me uncomfortable, mainly because of the possibility they may ask me to help. I didn't light as bright as yours. but this would require some form of carrying things, electrical wiring knowledge, and access to a power supply capable of producing that amount of wattage. Probably fusion. As I am told off by my partner for wasting money when I leave the light on in the bathroom overnight, I can only speculate to what her reaction would be to an electricity bill 8 times our annual income for retaliatory garden lighting. She would probably have to get a third job. It would be much cheaper to stand in my driveway and throw rocks. I can't help it if some of the rocks go across the road. You should probably put something up in your window. Regards, David. And the next email is, did you take our lamp again, asshole? What part of not being allowed to go on our property don't you get? And his response was, no, I did not take the light again. I relocated it again. Its current location may be discovered by deciphering the following set of clues to its whereabouts. Perhaps you could invite your friend Ryan over and treat it as a kind of treasure hunt. 1. It's in the letterbox again. 2. Look in the letterbox. As I realize this probably won't narrow it down much for you, I will give you a third clue in the form of a riddle. What burns with the light of 1,000 suns and is in the letterbox? And the response was, I put a smaller lamp in so you can shut the fuck up now. Don't email me again, and if you ever trespass on our property again, I will press charges. And his response was... His response was, what if I have a barbecue and need to send you an invitation? Is it okay to email you then? Regards, David. And the response was, no, it's not okay. And the response to that was, what if I need to borrow your lawnmower? I can't invite people over for a barbecue and expect them to stand in long grass. Someone might be bitten by a snake. It's a safety issue. Regards, David. and the guy said, fuck off back to Austria. They're the wrong place.
Oh, God.
And that's my story.
Alright, that's the best place ever to end that.
Oh.